Hey guys, so today I wanted to do a video showing you guys this new palette from Urban Decay. It's called the Vice palette and I've had it for a little over a week now, and I've been playing with the colors and trying to swatch them and compare them to other colors that I have from Urban Decay, just because they're notorious for creating palettes and then having duplicates among those palettes. So this is supposed to be a palette of 20 new shades, so I wanted to really take the time to go through my Urban Decay palettes and my individual eyeshadows from them and really compare the colors that I felt like there was some sort of similarity to them. And what I found was that a lot of the shades may look similar. Some might be a little bit more blue, some more pink, more golden, more brown than others. So there wasn't anything that was exactly the same. But I do have to mention that these shades can be duplicated with other colors from other brands. So I'm just jump right into my initial thoughts and show you guys the colors and swatches. So it comes in this cool little purple box, and the colors are on the back, so you can see. And then it also comes with this like plastic or like this foam to protect the actual top of the palette, just because of the jeweled UD that they have on here is very similar to the one from the Anniversary palette. Also has the same kind of rhinestone letters. So when you open the palette, it looks like this, and mine is a little bit dirty just because I have been using it for the last week. And you get a really nice mirror, which I haven't taken the plastic off, but one of the things I wanted to mention was that most of the Urban Decay palettes come with a very small mirror. First of all. Second of all, they don't ever prop up or stand up on their own. You have to put something behind it, like the naked palettes, to hold them up. But this one, if my hands are the flat surface, you see how that just props up on its own? And it's a pretty good sized mirror that you can actually see yourself completely. Like, I can see my entire face and do my makeup, from my foundation to my eyebrows to my eyeshadows, and not have to, you know, feel like I'm squinting to see in a tiny little mirror, you know. So that's a great thing. And the packaging itself, it's actually pretty decent. There's a button that you push in here when it's closed. This button here, you push that in and it opens up the palette. So this is what the colors look like. Get a little bit up close so you guys can see a little bit better. You do get a double-ended brush, which I just want to touch on briefly. The eyeshadow portion, and then there's a crease portion as well, like the double-ended. And what I like is the eyeshadow portion of it, just because it feels a little bit more firm. It feels like it's a little bit better made. Now for the crease side, I feel like it's just really, to me, it's worthless. I mean, I feel like I haven't really tried using it for looks. Maybe I should have prior to doing this video, but if you guys have the Naked 2 palette, that comes with a double-ended brush, and that one is, to me, what I feel is a much better quality brush than what they chose to put in this one, which I figured they would have done a better job with it. But nevertheless, it is a free brush. Well, not really free, but it's added in there. So these are the colors. Again, I'm going to show you. You have on the first row Desperation, which I would say is more of like a kind of like a satiny grayish color with a little bit of a brown undertone, and you see how pigmented that is, and it's just a beautiful color to use for eyeliner. You can even use it to darken up looks. So that's what it looks like there. The next color is called Muse, which is here, and this is more of a kind of like a bronzy brown, and this one has a little bit of a golden sparkle to it. So you may not be able to catch it with the lighting here, but I will be putting pictures of swatches on my hand towards the end of the video in order as they go in the row, so you can kind of keep an eye and kind of see what they look like, just because I want to go through this quickly. The next color is called Jagged, which is what I would consider a dud. Now this one here is like a golden olive, and you see how beautiful that just glows. Now this color to me screams holiday. Like if I wanted to do a fall inspired look, I think of browns, the olive tones, the burnt orange colors, and I really feel like if they would have really put more, I guess more effort into this color, it would have been a fantastic color. But when you swatch the color, it looks like you get product on your hand. As you can see, hopefully you can tell, but it's very, very powdery. Like, it just has a lot of fallout, and it's very kind of chalky. And when you swatch it and you put it on your hand, this is exactly what happens. All of like the sparkle and like the eyeshadow kind of crumbles, and even if I'm blending this out, you get what seems to be color, but there's really nothing to it. I mean, it's just the most sheer color. And look, if this was my eyes, this fallout that's all around it would have been underneath my eyes, just because it's so dry. It's like really not a great color. I can probably use this color maybe over a matching olive green eyeliner just to kind of top it off and kind of make it last a little longer. But as far as wearing this color on my lid, I probably won't. I probably won't work with it in the crease just because, again, the fallout. So it may be a lower lash line type of color. Not my favorite. I wish it would have replaced that or put a much more pigmented color, because that one is very, very powdery. Kind of almost breaks apart when you touch it. The next shade right next to it's a beautiful color. It's called Blitz, and it's a nice kind of yellow gold, and it's really nice and bright. This one is very, very metallic, and a little bit goes a long way with this one because it's just incredible. It has almost like a foiled wet look to it without even having a wet brush or anything like that, and it just is the most beautiful color. The last one on the top row is called Penny Lane. Yeah, Penny Lane, and this one is like a nice orangey shade with a little bit of a kind of like a coppery undertone, and that's right there. Kind of looks a little bit more orange when it's next to that color, but it's beautiful. The next row is with the first shade called Junkie, which is like a golden, it's like a darker green with golden undertones. And that one is just beautiful. It's not quite as deep in green like maybe like a Christmas tree green, but it's a little bit more on the jade-ish kind of tone, like a, I don't know, like a blue-green color, but more on the greener side. They do have a liner called Junkie. They came out with one of their kits, and it's exactly the same. It's got that deeper green with the golden tones. That one is one of my favorites because you can see this is with no primer. There's absolutely no product, primer, paint pot, or anything on my hand. It's just my bare hands, and you see how pigmented that color is. The next one is called Chaos, which is a very bright matte blue. And this one, unfortunately, it comes off pretty bright and intense. Just with any bright color, you see how it's actually more, as I'm looking at it on the lens, it comes off as more of like an electric blue, but actually in the palette, it's more like a royal blue. So it's not quite as bright as it looks. But with that, you do have to work with this one just because of matte colors. They're a little bit harder to work with. They're not as pigmented. But for the quality of this one, for being matte, I really feel like they did a great job with that one. The next one next to that is called Occupy, which is more of like a, kind of like a bluish gray color. And let me see, I gotta dry my fingers off. And that's a swatch of it there. Let me put it on my hand. And that's what it looks like. It's more of like a grayish color with like a blue undertone. It's a really beautiful shade, very unique. The next one is called Unhinged, which is this one here. And this one is more of a kind of like a teal blue shade. See how that one is more teal and this is a little bit more green. This is the Junkie color. And the last one in that second row is called Black Market. And it's a nice kind of black shade, but it's not like their Perversion or their Blackout, I think it's what it's called, from I think the Naked 2 palette has like a matte black. It's not quite as dark as that one, and this one has a little bit of a more of a kind of like a darkened blackish charcoal color. So it's not quite as black for those of you who want to have like add a little bit of black to a look without it being, you know, too, I guess, too pigmented, like let's say Carbon from MAC. This one's a little bit more of like a carbon undertone to it. And the next row, which is the third row, is the first color is called Provocateur. And that one is a very, as you can see, it looks like a very chunky kind of glittery color. When you swatch that shade, it's a really beautiful, soft pinky lilac. But as you can see, when you try to swirl your finger apart, when you try to swirl your finger in the swatch, it actually starts to kind of break apart. It's a very, I feel like the color seems kind of dry just because when you swatch it, the whole product comes apart. You do have to work with this one a little bit more. I would recommend using a MAC 239 brush, which is a flat shader brush like this, to pack on this color on top of a paint pot or some sort of base. But you see how it's very chalky and very powdery, and you have to really just kind of tap it. Use your finger or that 239 brush to really get the color on there. But that's another shade. I love the color, that pinky lilac, and it just glows with the light, but I really feel like they should have put a little bit more effort into that color. And what I would recommend is just, like I said, patting your finger into the actual pan, because if you swirl it, it's going to go all over the place. Now the next color is called Rapture, which is a nice kind of purpley tone color, and that's what it looks like there. The next one is called Vice, which looks like that. Vice is more of a brighter purple. This is more of a kind of like a purpley gray. Then you have Noise, which is that really bright hot pink shade here with a little bit of a gold kind of glittery sparkle. But when you put it on your hand, when you swatch it, there's not too much of the glitter sparkle. So to me, it's a good color because the glitter won't fall out like they're known for. And the last one in that row is called Armor, which is just a nice gray color. It's just a standard gray. It does have a little bit of a sparkle to it, so you just have to be careful when you work with that color. Again, a lot of these colors do have a little bit of a chunkier kind of shimmer, borderline glitter, and then some of them are just straight glitter. The last row is more of the neutrals, and it's Nevermind, the first color, which is a nice kind of golden taupe shade. It's really, really pretty. It's one of my favorites. The next one is one of my absolute favorites. It's called Echo Beach, and that one is more of a kind of true champagne shade. I've used this as my brow highlight. I've used this all over my lid with just some black liquid liner, and I love it. The next one is called Anonymous, and I think the reason why they named it Anonymous is just because it's really, seems like there's nothing there. It's just a very matte ivory shade, but I have actually worn this all over my lid, and I love this color. It's a great color to use to blend out any of the other shades or the darker shades in the crease. If you're light enough, it'll show up. If you're tan and dark skin tone, it's going to show up really nicely on you. Then next to that is called Freebird, which is this pink shade here. And this one is a little bit more, unfortunately, you do have to work with this one a little bit. You have to keep rubbing your finger in the product to actually pick up a decent amount. Again, fall back on your 239 or some sort of small shader brush, and that's there. When you put it on, it almost seems like it just melts into the skin and it disappears. So that's, I would say, the third shade in the entire palette that it should have worked a little bit better on. And then the last one is called Laced, which is a very beautiful kind of like a matte, I wouldn't say it's a matte ivory, it's more of like a matte taupe shade with a little bit of a kind of purpley tone. I've actually used this to blend out looks before. I believe the video that I'm going to post before this is my September favorites, and in that video I was actually using Lace as my crease shade to kind of keep the really dark shades that I use from going up too high. So it's like a kind of like a blending color. So again, here are some of the swatches. They're not all of them, just because I showed you on my fingers, but they did a really good job. I would say the three shades that they should have really worked better on for me, it's Jagged, which is that kind of like that olivey tone there, Provocateur here, and then Freebird, which is supposed to be a nice kind of golden pink. So besides that, I mean, I think it is worth the $60 if you think about it. When you do the math, you know, you get 20 eyeshadows and it's 60 bucks. It's really not too bad, the price per eyeshadow. Urban Decay is really well known for their palettes and whatnot. I do think that they could have done a better job with the brush, and again with those 3 shades that I pointed out. But everything else, they really come off pigmented. Like I said, there's no primer under any of these eyeshadows. That is how it applies. Of course, if you want to use like a 252 or 239, you're definitely going to get more intense pigmentation. It's going to look more intense. If you wet it, that's another way to get the most out of it, especially with those 3 shades that I feel like are really crappy shades. Those you probably should use maybe some MAC Fix Plus on your brush to kind of really pick up the color and pack it onto the lid. So overall, I do love Urban Decay. I would have chosen 3 different shades, or I would have worked a little bit better with that. But that being said, you're not going to find the most perfect palette where every single shade blows your mind. I mean, you're going to have colors in there that you may not like, formulations that you just don't like. And I do like the combination of mattes, satiny, kind of shimmery colors. There's a good range of metallics, and then you have those few ones throughout the palette that do have a little bit of glitter. But I feel even with those that have that little bit of glitter running through them, I feel like they've really worked on the formulation of those, because if you are as big of a lover as I am of Urban Decay, you know that that's my love-hate thing with them, because you get lots of glitter but not enough eyeshadow. So it just seems like you just packed on glitter, and if I would have, that's the look that I was going for, I would have just used, you know, the matte glitter, you know, pigments and just pack that on. But I want glitter and I want an eyeshadow color coming through, and I feel like with the ones that have the glitter in the palette, I feel like they really worked to get a really good, decent payoff with these shades. So hopefully going forward in the next palettes that they come out with, they continue this same formulation. And you know, like I said, it's not going to be 20 perfect shades, but for the pigmentation, I love Urban Decay. I own almost every single palette. Just so you know, there may be some similarities, but none of them are exactly the same. So I did take time to do that before making this video, just to put that out there as an FYI. If you're considering this is a great holiday gift. It does pretty well, I'm sure, for travel, just because it's a little bit on the sleeker side. It's not so bulky. So anyways, I hope that you guys liked this review and my thoughts on them and the swatches. Again, I will do swatches. Each row will be a separate picture, and they will go in order so you can see them a little bit up close, because just showing you like this may not be enough for some people. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below the video as usual. I will put the link to my Twitter so you can follow me there. Be on the lookout for some tutorials using this palette, because I will be doing a lot of them, just because I love most of the shades, and I really do think it's going to be great to create a lot of different fall looks and holiday looks, and even into spring and summer next year. So be on the lookout for that. And again, thank you for joining me for this video, and I hope that you guys found this review helpful, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.